everybody, there is something big out there for all you softball and baseball fans, coaches, players, and more. It's called Victory Mounds. That's right, from portable pitching mounds, field products, and field services trusted to use by both coaches and players alike, there's a whole lot to love. Mike Donahoe, who's in charge of products and equipment, makes sure it is nothing short of premium quality. Plus, Craig Allison, who's the national sales executive, is one of those journeymen who just knows baseball back and forward, can do it in his sleep, can eat, live, breathe it. He's got it all. And of course, Rush Niggett has been there. He's seen what's worked at high school fields, what worked at college fields, what doesn't work at any field. He has got it all. All three of them are journeymen who know what to look for. So make sure you check them out today at victorymounds.com. And hey, oh, by the way, if you mention that you heard them on our broadcast, you could earn a free assessment on the playability of your field. That's right. They'll come out, check it out, and see how playable it is and beyond. They'll help you get your field to the next level. That's right. They've got everything and every question answered. That's right. From pitching mounts to pitching rubbers, home plate, and beyond. They've got it all. And all you have to do is check out victorymounds.com. Every question is answered right on their Q&A section, so make sure to check that out today. And hey, make sure to have it a great day with Victory Mounds.
RDA Financial Network is a proud sponsor of IABaseball.com. RDA supports the sport of baseball in the state of Iowa. We believe the game of baseball promotes many values such as hard work, determination, and teamwork, values that matter on and off the baseball field, and values that we demonstrate to our clients every day in our offices across the country. RDA provides financial planning and wealth management services to our clients in 6 communities in the state of Iowa. RDA Financial Network is an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. RDA advisors may offer securities through United Planners Financial Services, a member of FINRA and SIPC. United Planners is not affiliated with RDA Financial Network nor IABaseball.com. Please visit rdafn.com to find an RDA advisor near you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back here as we continue to rock and roll here. Really appreciate coming along for the ride here. Again, we are sitting here in the home studio. Really, it's a home, having a fun home studio day. But again, make sure to check us out however you can reach us. And however really it comes to you, please let us know, as we love to interact with you and everything in between. Speaking about interactions, got to bring a guy on who obviously knows the interaction on the baseball scene very well. And coming from what I assume is the ultimate card cave is the one and only Chad Ericson of RDA Financial joining us here. And Chad, appreciate the time as always. I know that, man, it never sleeps, but thankfully we have Major League Baseball officially here. And again, a lot to love about what the conversation on the baseball scene has for us.
Absolutely. It's we've got some MLB games going on and some very cold games at that.
Yeah,
that's all part of April/March baseball. But it's great to have the MLB season kicked off, and you know what that means. That means the high school season is going to follow here in the state of Iowa. So that's what I'm really excited about.
Yep.
I do have my Cubs garb on today. Cubs have won 3 in a row. I know they're kind of hanging with your Braves there.
Yeah.
Braves have had a good start to the season too. So
yeah.
lot of baseball and it's a good thing. That and women's college basketball, been watching a lot of that, just like everybody else around the state. So hopefully when we get to the game here in a couple of days, that's going to be another W for the ladies. So
yes,
really hoping for that.
And I do think too, it brings up a point in which I wanted to speak on, Chad, is that, you know, it really is cool to see Iowa athletics, just, you know, Iowa-born people as well. I mean, Caitlin Clark is from Des Moines, you know, a Dowling Catholic individual, and she's obviously stellar. She is now a national phenom, and beyond that. And so I think it really goes to show, one, I like how she conducts herself in terms of staying hours after games to sign memorabilia, sign stuff, autograph stuff, take pictures. And I think I think when I looked at that, went, man, that is really cool. But that's what you expect out of a superstar, right? She is a superstar, and that is there. But I also thought, man, I go back and go, well, I really liked when I saw, like, for example, I'll give a shout out to Hinton. A couple years ago, catching up their playoff match, baseball wise, against Central Lyon. And after that, I got to pack up. I got to get all my gear. And what happens is that entire team. You had about 4 or 5 guys asking like where they can help, and I got everything to my car in one trip, which usually takes me 3 trips. So, what are you doing when other people aren't looking, and what are you doing now as a high schooler that that is showing up? Because it's not just you think high school, man, people aren't looking up, but you got the next group of tomorrow always looking up to you. And so that was one of the things I found was really, really cool, that my brain, proud brain moment there, right? That we went through that pathway of, you don't have to be a superstar for it, but you got people looking out and watching you.
Right, you do. I think when you're an athlete, and I think this goes through 1A through 4A, it doesn't matter. You're always going to have kids looking up to you, and it's important that you're acting appropriately and you're a good role model. I know that there are some people out there that have said once upon a time, I think it was Charles Barkley, I'm not your role model, right? But let's face facts. When you're in front of a bunch of people and there are young kids around, those young kids admire you. And I think it's important to be understanding to those kids and try and be helpful to those kids and give them positive feedback and positive attention.
Yep.
Because you don't know what their background is, and you might be that one person that they really feel like they can look up to, and that they're connected to you, even if you're not aware of it.
Yep.
So one thing I'd like to share in that regard is the Heelan boys put on several weeks of baseball camp for younger kids, and I got feedback from a teacher who's also a mom about the interaction of my son with some of those ball players, and I heard some good things about other ball players too, and how they were interacting with the kids and how they were teaching the kids, and really fostering that good relationship. And it's really heartwarming when you have that type of environment, and the kids really are soaking up everything the ball players are helping them learn, and just a really good positive environment. So they're looking at you when you're teaching them, obviously, but they're also looking at you when you're on the field, when you're off the field, after the game, how you're interacting with your players, how do you react after you fail? That's another thing too.
Yep.
Are you throwing your helmet, or are you walking off the field like, hey, I got beat this time, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to get you the next time? The kids are picking that stuff up. And so it's important to have a good level head and to put your best foot forward, because you don't know who's looking. We always talk, because of the segment, right? The name of the segment's a prospect planner. So we're always talking about scouts watching you, but there are other eyes on you as well.
Yeah.
So that's important.
And I think one of the things is, and again, I love going back to that Cody Iggy interview, which everybody can catch on YouTube or catch on Rockfin. Just head on up to iBaseball, iSports page on YouTube. So hit that up. Rockfin / iBaseball. You'll be able to catch it there. But I found his comments right in line with that. The fact that an ordinary outing, fielding a ground ball, getting it to first, an inning pitched, and it wasn't like it was stellar, but it got Louisville to go, now we want you, right? That for those who didn't kind of catch that context, he wanted to go to Louisville, didn't get a whole lot of love or attention from the D1 scene, but then he made his own attention, right? And again, who's watching, you never know, but I think it's not just that, Chad, but how you show the little things. I know that it's cheesy, maybe corny to say the hustle and all of that, but a lot of times, and I'm going through this with my youngest now, with the younger kids, and I know it's on a much different level, but I see my youngest just basically mimicking everything his older brother's doing, right? And I know that's a different level, but you got guys that go, man, we look at you and we see you on the high school scene, you're rocking it. I want to be that. I want to be that. So it's gonna be emulating. And I think, Chad, I'll let you go with this, but I'll let you go through with this. But I think having good routines is going to be pretty big too. And I know that you've probably seen this with your kids about picking up on the right routines. And I think it's a big impact when it comes from players, not just coaches.
Yeah, I agree. I think coaches are going to coach because that's what they've been asked to do.
Yep.
But then there are players too that some do have the ability to coach. Some do have that ability to say to their teammates, "Hey, we really need to work on this," or "Hey, try this approach next time." It especially when you got somebody who's had a lot of experience. I'll give a couple of examples. One was in the Rangers Cubs game, and it was a tight game. It was 2-2, and the Cubs had a runner on third.
Yeah.
And batter had a half swing, and I'm sorry, he had a full swing. He went down to one knee. The ball squirted away from the catcher as he tried to block it, and the catcher turned around to the umpire and was arguing for a foul ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the umpire didn't see it and didn't hear it. And the ball was 15 feet away, and the runner on third scored.
Yeah.
Cubs go ahead 3-2. At this point, that's not a reviewable play in Major League Baseball. So the run stayed on the board. And I think the catcher, and the pitcher learned a lesson.
Yep.
Which is stay with the play, make your arguments after you've stopped the play. Stop the play. First and foremost, stop the play.
Yep.
I was sitting there.
Yeah.
I was sitting there talking with my oldest because he was watching the game with me, and I said that mistake number one is to make an argument.
Yep.
You got to stop the play. You got a runner that's 90 feet away. You got to stop the play first and foremost, and then make your argument. You're probably not going to win an argument with an umpire on a play like that. And to defend the umpire a little bit, the ball barely touched the bat, and the hitter went down to one knee when he swung. There was all kinds of stuff going on. The catcher was moving. The hitter was moving awkwardly.
Yep.
There's all kinds of interference going on for that umpire to hear the ball, hit the bat, and it's bang, bang. Ball goes off the bat, ball goes off the catcher's pud. You know, it's a tough situation for the umpire. Probably should be a reviewable play. Maybe the owners will decide on that in the off season if they have enough examples.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a coachable moment. It's attention to detail,
Yep.
right? And knowing that first and foremost, I got to make sure that runner doesn't score. First thing, cover the ball, right? Because if he covers the ball, the runners aren't advancing. Now you may have a guy go to, you may. I don't remember if it was strike 3, but
Yeah.
at any rate, you keep the runner at third.
Yeah.
The other example of attention to detail and process. This one's more about process. So we're down at Carroll at Merchants Park on Saturday.
Yep.
And the Akron guys are playing. I don't remember if it was Carroll or Lamar's, but we were down there enjoying the ballpark, which looks great, by the way.
Yes.
The infield is as green as you can believe. It looked like the infield was. It looked like it was June.
They do.
Now the outfield didn't look like June, but the infield looked like June. So hats off to the turf management guy down there, because whoever the turf management people are down there, they're doing a great job. The field was in great condition. So anyway, we had an easy fly ball to one of the outfielders. Outfielder lost it in the sun, and the ball dropped 2 feet to his left.
Yeah.
And he came off the field. We got the outs, no runs scored, so happy for that. We got off the field, and I said to him, I said, hey, in that situation, you've got to get your glove up and block the sun. And he's like, well, I wasn't ready for the sun, and I said to him, the sun is there when you get out to the outfield.
Yep.
It's not going to move in that inning. The sun doesn't move. Okay? But you're moving, where the angle of the sun is. And that's something like if you're watching a pro baseball game or a college baseball game, the outfielders who know their craft, they'll go to the outfield and they'll look up at the sun and they'll put their glove up and try and figure out what all the angles are. Now, the angle of the baseball coming at you might change a bit, but it's important to know where that sun is and where do you have to put that glove to block the sun so you can see the ball coming to you. It's part of a process, right? Yeah. That's part of the process of you setting up as an outfielder. And, this guy's he's a young ball player, so I'm not expecting him to be at a major league baseball level or a college baseball level, but you have a moment where you can teach.
Yep. Right? I think that's really a fun thing here, Chad. I love the fact, and I love that teachable moment. I love it because in the end, reality waits for nobody, right? And those two examples are really big as to when you go out there and I think it's okay to fail and to see people, to have people see you fail, because one, it's a relatability thing, right? We all fail. We're humans. Last time I checked, I was not a robot. Chad, I don't think you're a robot either, so I'm going to go on a limb and say that here. But we make mistakes, but other than that, how do you learn? I think in sports we sometimes forget that even at the professional level, we sometimes forget that the journey that it took for them to get to that mark. To how do you become a professional? Well, you had to fail. I mean, baseball is the ultimate example in general. I mean, you're a major leaguer batting 300 and you are really good. People are like, this guy is the real deal. And again, that's failing 7 out of 10 times. So ultimately, right. I think to fail and to learn, it's in academics, we go through all this with homework and quizzes, tests, all of that. And we go, okay, we got that wrong. We correct it. We get it right the next time around. But I think we look at sports and don't look at it through that lens. And that's where that's where I feel, Chad, and want to get your opinion too on that, is that failing is, I think, important. It's necessary. It's just a matter of, can you reduce it in the big moments?
Yeah, right. It's learning from mistakes. And shockingly, Craig Counsell, in uh, Cubs' new manager,
Oh yeah,
he's talking with the broadcast crew, and they're talking about the new players and how people are going to fit in and so on and so forth. And Counsell is hoping for failure. He
yeah,
flat out said it. He goes, "I'm hoping that these guys fail. I want to see how they react to that failure. I want to see how they bounce back. I want to see those things, because when you have 162 games, you're going to have failures. When you have a 30 or 40 game season in high school, you're going to have failures. How do you react to it? How do you deal with the adversity? How do you deal with the learning moments?
yep,
Do you try and put a good spin on it and figure things out, or do you hang your head? Um, as I've coached, I've always looked for kids who have grit,
yeah,
because to me, if you're a gritty ball player, or you're a gritty uh, professional in the workforce, these are people that get things done. These are people that figure out how to do something.
yep,
Those are your successful people. It's one of the tenets of success, is just having grit and having that fortitude to stick with something and figure it out. And I'm going to do my best to be successful. And that translates off the baseball field as well. And so, it's a mentality. It's a mentality. And coaches, college coaches, and I've heard this so many times I can't attribute it to anybody. But I know college coaches, they look at body language. They look at how people are
yep,
reacting to failure. Is this player going to be a head case, or is this person going to be, I'll get them next time? There's always the next time. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep going forward. I'm going to keep pressing.
yep,
And coaches are looking for that. They're looking for that attitude. They don't want a guy who's throwing his helmet around, or his bat, or slumping his shoulders over with his head down and is out of a play because he made a bad pitch, or he didn't field the ball correctly, or what have you. That is not what they're looking for. So, good attitude is big. It's
yep,
a big thing. It's a big thing, on and off the baseball field.
yeah.
So,
And it impacts a lot. There is so much more than that we realize, and what meets the eye. And in the end, when kids look up to that, they don't know they don't know all the time what grit is. They don't know any of that, but you do, and you can use that as a great teaching moment, teaching tool. I think when you get as cerebral as you can get in the game, I think you'll be so much better off. I mean, Chad, I know you have had this. You have had a number of times off camera. You were talking about even conversations with your son, just talking about what you might do in a situation, what you might do here, what this looks like when it comes up. And I think having, when you can have those conversations in the game, and kind of put yourself out of your body in a sense, get that out of mind experience, that you kind of look at things through a different lens too. But it is very important. And again, going back to like what we were talking about earlier, you gotta, the eyes on you may not know what you're doing, or may not know it, but you're teaching in a sense. And I'm not taking anything away from coaches here, Chad, but in a sense that they look at that and go, you know what, like with your son, those kids could be like, you know what, hey, I'm pumped now, I'm jacked, right? It's a more relatable piece when someone who's closer to age than your coach says, you know what, hey, you got this. Hey, here, tweak this, do this, look at this, you know, because ultimately we look to the guys who make the plays, and it's not just the plays on the field we're looking for. So, but yeah, and you mentioned that when it comes to colleges as well, and I can only imagine that has to be a piece. I mean, I can only assume that there's been a number of guys that we haven't known about simply because their mindset was not in the right place, and the coaches went, you know what? There's too much baggage here. There's too much outside of the game that we can't coach up. And I think having the ability to sit there and be coachable beyond the X's and O's on the field, I think that speaks volumes and can go a long way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just. I think it really boils down to your mental approach to the game and what you're doing to prepare, your thought process,
Yep.
and I think too, there's one thing about baseball that turns off a lot of people from the sport is that there's a lot of time in between the action,
Yes.
right? Every pitch is roughly 15 seconds, and I think you have to, and this is actually what makes me enjoy the sport, is that the pause in between the action, because you can start going through the different scenarios in your head of, okay, what if this happens? And if you're a ball player, you should be thinking through that every pitch. Okay, where's the pitch going to be? All right, I need to be set up here. It looks like the hitter's behind, and we're gonna throw a fastball on the outside.
Yep.
So I'm gonna cheat a step or two as a second baseman toward first base because the hitter's not gonna pull it,
Yeah.
right? Or, just like I was talking about with the shading of your eyes, there's time to do all of those little things that set you up for success in the game. There's time for all of that. That's the beauty of baseball. And I think that that's one of the things that separates really good ball players from average ball players.
Exactly.
It seems like the really good ball players, they somehow always find the ball on defense.
Yep.
Or they somehow always come up with that, not always, but often come up with that big hit because they're thinking through the scenario and, okay, what can I do here to help the team? What's my best approach on this pitch? What's my best approach on this at bat? They're walking into the batter's box with a game plan, and they're executing the game plan.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of baseball. It's the game within the game.
Yeah, and I love
Right?
the patience factor too. Can you be patient enough to see the lesson, to see the opportunity? I think there are some sports where you just don't get that until after the fact, but you can make an in-game adjustment pretty easy when it comes to baseball. But I think it is a skill to recognize that, and it's really interesting as you watch some guys who get ready for showcases and stuff like that. Are they recognizing what they did what they did right, or are they recognizing where they could improve upon, even if it's in front of college coaches' eyes where you mess up? Can you recognize that thing? I just want to kind of get your take on that a little bit as before we wind down here, Chad. But that and kind of the most underrated skill to have when you are a prospect, as we look at from the prospect lens here, kind of the most underrated skill to have when it comes to getting into front of coaches' eyes. Like, what have you seen from your time with your son, and how as a parent do you kind of coach that up?
I think the number one thing for most people, for most players, and for most parents, and I've drank the Kool-Aid a few times, right?
Yeah.
But I think self-assessment is probably the number one thing.
Yep.
Your ability to say, okay, my footwork wasn't good. I need to improve that, and then go work on it. Especially if say you threw 90 from the outfield,
Yep.
but your footwork was bad, and you took too long to release the ball. I see this a lot. You
Yeah.
know, you're on Twitter and you see stuff, or X, whatever you want to call it.
We don't
I'll
know
get it
anymore.
right. I'll get it right one of these days. So you're on X and you're looking at these guys that are pulling down 93 from the outfield, but they're taking 6 or 7 steps to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Get it out.
That's not proper. That's not proper footwork.
Yeah.
Set yourself up to get the ball released. You can't run as fast as your 93 mile per hour throw from the outfield. It makes you less effective because you're not doing everything correct. Sure, you throw 93 miles per hour, but how many guys are you going to throw out?
Yeah.
Not nearly as many as if your footwork is better and you throw 89,
Exactly.
right? So these are we're wrapped up in exit velocity, we're wrapped up in throwing velocity, but ultimately, it's how do you perform? Are you doing the little things well? Can you hit a fastball and not just BP, right? I mean,
Yep.
these are things that you have to have self-assessment of. And I'm not trying to say to people, well, do self-assessment, and if you deem that you can't play college baseball, then give up now. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you should be able to self-assess and make improvements to your game to get you to that next level.
Yeah.
And if you walk around and you think I have nothing to work on, then I think that's a problem. I think that's a big problem because you will get to a level in baseball where you're asked to do things that you can't do.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you need to work on the basics while you can.
And 100% about that. Yeah, I think that retrospective outlook it needs to happen more in baseball. And can you recognize the, okay, this is an opportunity? That's one of the things I've loved. And I'll give a shout out to Briarcliff and Coach Corby McLaughlin. He had talked to me a lot of times, and when I get the chance to have a candid conversation with him, he had always talked about, I don't want my guys to feel like that it's a failure, right? You do fail, and you do go through struggles, but how you view it is really uplifting, or it just piles on, right? If you view this as an opportunity to go, okay, I am going to get more at bats, and I was a step ahead, or I bent the elbow, or I lifted my stance. What is that? What is it that ultimately was that big kicker? And if you can recognize the opportunity you have to improve, then you go, man, now it's exciting there, because in the moments, in a week, a month, a year, it's hard to recognize in the grand picture that like, oh man, I only have so much time to do this. I need it all done now. Well, then you just spend however many at bats being average, right? However many years or months you get to play the game being average. So I like what you're saying there, Chad. I like the when you can focus on it as an opportunity, which is very, very big. But again, ladies and gentlemen, our prospect planner piece as we're starting to wrap things up here. But again, don't forget, check out RDA Financial as well, and check out everything that's going on. And I will say, Chad, too, from the perspective of, if everybody's as a good card collector as you, and just easy to speak with, I think that it really goes to show how good baseball can be. But not just you, but everyone at RDA, everybody at wherever you come from. I mean, if you're integrated in the community like you are, it goes a long way. So I think that too speaks volumes. Not just you, but everybody involved who is involved with the baseball community. So again, just kind of a shout out there, and something that too takes a little skill. So
Yeah, so we've got a lot of community involvement going on, especially with the spring ball
yep,
and the resurgence of American Legion baseball in the state of Iowa.
yes,
There are a lot of Legionnaires, especially in this corner of the state, that are super excited about having baseball back. I know it's been back for a few years, but every spring it seems that there's another team or two that are getting involved,
mm-hmm,
and that's a wonderful thing. And I have to say, uh, the veterans that we've worked with the teams that we have, they're super excited. This is re-energizing their club,
mm-hmm,
and so that's got a lot of purpose too. It's not just all about the baseball. It's
yep,
about recognizing these folks that have made sacrifices for our country, and that's huge in the community. And it's huge for these kids too, to get to interact with those folks and see the color guards and all of the things that the Legionnaires do, that doesn't necessarily happen during the high school season. There's a few extra things that they get to see during the Legion season, and that's great. That's wonderful, and so I'm proud that our community is involved with that. I'm proud that my boys are involved with that, and it's just, that's a great thing. All baseball aside, having these men and women that served in the armed forces around and sharing stories and showing their patriotism and their love for the game of baseball, man, it's that you can't get any more American than that,
I
right?
know that's like hoorah, beat your chest. That is red, white, and blue to a T right there.
Yep, yep.
Um,
So
well, Chad,
so hey, there's less than a month left, right?
I
Less than a
know.
month till the first practice.
And I'm so ecstatic for it. It was, I remember us sitting there. How many conversations have we said, man, we're inching closer, we're getting there, but we're not there. And now it feels like, man, we're there. Um, I guess a lot, really a lot to pick up. And I think one of the things that we'll touch up on next episode is now we're close. What does that mean for you as one that's trying to get a college commitment, one that has a college commitment? So I think make sure to stay tuned for that, plus much more on our prospect planner piece here. But I also will give a shout out here again. Card room, absolutely phenomenal, Chad, absolutely love it. I will say we're getting close when we really want to get a card show, and from the standpoint of not just the cards that are out there, but I've really kind of dove into this a little bit. The strategy of getting cards, buying cards. You talked about it already. You talked about it, and you and I have had conversations off air about it as well. I want to get this going. I really I want to get there because uh, I think not only myself but others who have asked, we've had requests, and I think it's
Oh, you have.
we have, shout out to Luke Kisker, and shout out to Mr. Hansen. Shout out to Eric Sorensen, or not Eric Sorensen, Eric Swab. Um, Thank you. Thanks everybody there who gave their comments. Uh, I think it's about time. And again, I've been ever since I got my big giant 94 box. I'm just ultimately right now. That's about what I bring to the table. So again, Chad, you're going to be doing the heavy lifting when it comes to this, unless we specifically look at 1994. But
Well, we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that and keep it interesting for people.
yeah,
Um, it's kind of a little bit off topic for us, but it's not that we don't stray off the topic every now and then. So we'll have to figure out a game plan of
Yeah.
how we're going to do it, and I'd be happy to share some things and yeah. So been
Yeah.
at this for a long time. Been very fortunate. There's some things in the collection that are very unique and so like to share some of that, uh, some of those things. So
Yeah.
we'll have to get that. We'll have to get that worked out. But
Well, yeah.
hey, I have one last question for you, Andrew,
Yeah.
because it's really rare that I get April Fooled,
Uh-oh.
but I got April Fooled this year.
Oh, no.
So I'll tell my story, and then maybe you got April Fooled as well.
Uh-huh.
But so it's about midday on the 1st, and I get this text from my oldest that said the Cubs just traded for Shane Bieber.
Shane Bieber.
And I said what?
Oh,
And then here comes the text. April Fools. I bought it hook, line, and sinker because Justin Steele got hurt on opening day.
yeah.
Jameson Tyone's already on the IL. And I'm like, well, some crazy stuff can happen, you know.
I agree.
And so I bought it. I took the bait.
Yeah. Well, I will say, Chad, that I have been April Fooled by our own people. Twice. I've been, I guess kind of twice, but once by our own people here that say, hey, hey, we get, we want to do as many big broadcasts as we can. And, last year we got the chance to go to Busch Stadium. And there was we will always love these big broadcasting venues, and there's the oh, hey, guess what, we're gonna be able to broadcast from Field of Dreams at the MLB Stadium, and I bought that. I say that because normally on the surface be like, no, nah, hey, well, what really, but I've been so ready for baseball for so long. The guy who did this knows that. And he was really ready to. I think he had that in the cannon for about a week. So, but the one thing I will go ahead and say, the biggest thing is all these Trevor Bauer gifts and memes about the Angels signing him, about the Guardians signing him, about the Pirates. I mean, it is after April Fool's Day. And I am still getting fooled by some of these that got put up there that Trevor Bauer has signed with this team. And I just, that's a hook, line, and sinker thing. I want him to get there. But, I've been fooled even after April Fools.
Yep. Well, that Trevor Bauer thing is pretty believable, except I think he's kind of been blackballed.
You too.
I don't know that he's gonna get signed anywhere. It's it's a sad state of affairs. He's come out and said, "Hey, I've done some things I'm not proud of. I've trusted people that I shouldn't have trusted." Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of us have seen that interview. And bottom line is he did some things he shouldn't have, and whether it was consensual or not is a whole different, that's a whole different discussion. But if Mike Clevenger can get signed by the White Sox this week, then I mean, Trevor Bauer is a much better pitcher.
Yeah, I would say he needs to. I hope the teams look at that and go, it's not bad PR. Everything's been proven the right way. I want the opportunity. I want the opportunity for him. I really do. And I think I truly believe he'll get it. I'm with you. I don't know if it's going to be this year, though, which is really, really unfortunate. Unfortunate for him. But
But for all those people that were all excited about how he pitched against the Yankees, yeah, it was okay, but he was giving up, I think, 2 runners an inning. So let's not get overly excited about it.
Yeah, we got
to.
Yeah, perspective is huge.
Yeah, because that's only a matter of time to give up runs if you're going to give up 2 runners an inning. And I know it's 3 innings of work. You can't judge a guy like that. But anyway, everybody can make an argument on both sides of that deal. So we're kind of touching the third rail on that one. So
hey, that's all right. It always has a baseball twist, and I absolutely love it. And that's what we do here on Prospect Planner Piece, which is really primarily, I should say, the pursuit of the college game beyond the field from parents' perspective and more. But with that, Chad, man, a lot of great conversation. I can't wait for next week because I do want to touch up on, again, where we sit right now with players, families, and then everybody. Make sure to check out our YouTube page. Does have playlists, and we'll go through. We'll keep adding different prospect planners every week that we can go through and really touch up on a lot of things there. So make sure to hit that up, as well as Rockfin. All of them are right here on Rockfin as well. So make sure to stay tuned and have some fun. So with that, Chad, thank you very much for taking the time, man, and appreciate it. And have fun in that card room or get out. I mean, however you want to do it. But thanks again for taking the time.
You bet. Thanks, Andrew. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, as we go ahead and wrap things up here, again, Chad Ericson of RDA Financial is absolutely a great guy. Make sure to like, subscribe, and spread the word. Hey, if you're listening to us from wherever, let us know. We'd love to hang with you and chat with you as well. All right, we're going to wrap things up and say sayonara. Thank you again. Make sure you check up on IA Baseball and our list. Make sure you go through there and get subscribed, because all of that stuff is going to be premium content, or at the very least, content that subscribers will see first. So we're going to treat you right. We're going to get you the stuff, and we're going to let you help drive the conversation as it did with this show. All right. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. As always, appreciate it. And until we see each other next time, stay safe on the base pass. Thanks again, guys.